So you've done the hard part. You've provided a really good, exceptional product or service to a client or a customer, and now it's time for them to, or not time for them, but they've agreed to come on your marketing channels and, you know, explain how good you are, how great you are, just share their experience with you. Arguably, you've done the hard part. Now it's about getting that testimonial from them. But what do you do with that testimonial? How do you collect it? What format does it need to be? These are things that are less obvious, to be honest. Sometimes people just record a testimonial from someone, and it feels unnatural, or it's long-winded, it doesn't get to the point, or even it doesn't get distributed properly, which is a shame because social validation is such a big part of people's decision-making processes. Like when somebody emotionally gets sold on something, and a big part to emotional selling is, what do peers think about this? What's the experience been to others? As well as logically, if someone goes out there and says, yeah, I tripled my revenue because of this person, it's quite a logical thing. It's like, okay, it happened to them, why can't it happen to me? So about testimonials and getting it right, it's quite important. So here are 5 ways in which I use testimonials, and I see others use testimonials as well. So the first one is on a video sales letter. So a VSL, which is like a sales pitch on a website landing page. So your landing page has a video at the top, or should have a video at the top, or it doesn't have to, but it's pretty strong. And at the end of your pitch, it's a very condensed sales pitch. And at the very end, if you just want to put like a post-credit scene where it's only your clients saying good things about you, and you just let that run, and you just, every time you get a new one, you stick it on and you re-upload the VSL, that's a really, really strong way to use VSLs. And also the benefit of that is like, it's kind of lazy. Like it doesn't need to be hyper edited. Obviously, if you can just cut it down to what's important, that's good, but it doesn't have to be dressed up in any fancy way. Like it's not a high engagement ad. It's not trying to be anything. It's literally just putting your client at the very end of your video sales letter. And what's really good about this is after you've presented and pitched and it explained everything in your proposition, ultimately, people and then in that decision-making phase, because that's when they need to take action after they've read everything or like listened to everything. And oftentimes at that point of the video, they're ready to fill in their details or something like that. So even if they've clicked off the video, maybe it's still playing, they start filling in their details, they're kind of like subconsciously hearing these testimonials. And it's a great way to just solidify their decision making. So if the pitch makes sense, it's just the icing on the cake, just to give a bit more like strength to your offer about what others are saying about you. Next, quotes. So often quotes are tough. Quotes are awkward. Usually when you ask a client for a testimonial, they'll write you a message. And it'll be like quite scripted, quite formal, and usually very long. And people will literally just copy paste that and put that on their website. But what the top companies are doing is really figuring out exactly what their customer persona wants, and then digging out the exact part of the quote that matches that need. So usually a customer will give you like a really long testimonial, and you just need to be laser focused, because it also, in your head, it all sounds good. Like when you read that entire testimonial, it's going to be hard to cut anything out, because you think, wow, this is all great. But realistically speaking, with regard to what the viewer wants to read, they don't want to read all of that. In fact, they might not want to read any of it. So if you just put the exact most important point there, it works really well. And also visually, it works really well as well. If it's just a one-liner strap line about what a client said, that can look quite good on a website. But you don't want heaps of text, because it just looks ugly, long-winded, and sometimes kind of imposing, like visually imposing. You don't want to land on a website and have to be posed with this task of reading so much content. Okay, similarly, we have screenshots next. So testimonials that clients have said, whether you've asked for them or not, sometimes in the group chat or the project, maybe even in the email if you have to, but sometimes in the chat with the client, they'll just give you feedback in the chat, like especially if they're happy, things are going really well, they'll just drop notes and updates in the chat, which is really, really nice. And then you can just screenshot that, crop it just to what they say. And then the format for that would be for like Instagram stories, for example. So not just on its own, but you could dress it up so it's part of, maybe you do your pitch, because people watching Instagram stories, they're usually already nurtured by you. They've seen a lot of your content. They know what your service is about. So usually when you're putting stories out there, it's kind of like urging them to make a decision, take an action on working with you. So screenshots of testimonials are really, really good there. What else? Oh, and then those should be filtered then into a story highlight as well. So you can have like a story highlight for client feedback or testimonials, call it what you want. Cool. Another one, which is actually my favorite format, is phone call testimonials, which is basically when you record yourself calling a client and you don't tell them you're recording until probably afterwards, and you just ask them, how are things going, how are the leads, how's the quality of the project, and you just check in on them as if it was a normal call. That way their guard is down, they're willing to share details about the project. Obviously you need to clarify that and clear that with them after the call. I'm not saying record them without them knowing and put that all over the internet. Definitely don't do that. But give them a ring. And sometimes I tell them, I'm going to give you a ring, it's going to be recorded, but I don't want that to influence what you say. Yeah, that will change it a little bit, but I'd rather be quite transparent. But then you ask them, how things going. The best part of this is it's very natural. Usually when you ask someone to give you a testimonial or recommend you or say something about you, they turn into this scripted mode and they're like, I really highly recommend working with Sam if you're looking for X, Y, and Z. That's not what viewers are looking for, because they know, they have their bullshit detectors on and they just know that is sales rubbish right there. What you really want is just the guard down, natural as ever, and just let them talk about the project, because that's what they'll be saying if they were sat with their buddy talking about you behind your back. Like that's how they would, well, not quite, but it's very, very casual and natural. And the way to use these is to use them as ads, actually. And I've had really good results using these as ads. I'll probably pop a couple of them up on screen now. Of course, I've had permission. So that's like the most important part about this, is like, because you're filming and they don't know, you have to get a permission. Okay, cool. Another format which is really, really strong is podcasts. So if you invite your client onto a podcast or you just do a one-off podcast and you just speak about their process, and you frame it not as in like a parade about you, but you frame it as like almost like a how-to or a tutorial on their achievements. That's what people really want to watch. They want to know, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this transformation, not even necessarily about your service. Let's say, for example, you are a real estate broker and you are looking to sell properties in Dubai, and one of your clients comes on the podcast. You don't want to be talking about anything from your side. You want to know their side, why they picked Dubai, what the process was, what concerns they had, X, Y, and Z. Barely ever even mention yourself. Just talk about like the mental challenges and questions from your side, because people want to relate to that person who's done it. They're not looking to relate to the person who is selling it or proposing it. I hope that makes sense. So just position it as much as possible for the viewer, and the viewer basically is your client. Like they're the same person. That's why what have I written here? That's why UGC works so well, by the way, because the person who's watching relates directly with the UGC person. And one bonus one is, I was just wrapping up this video and I thought of one more. So have this extra bonus one on the house. It's a YouTube channel dedicated for testimonials, right? So if you're able to just, so many flies. If you're able to just continuously add testimonials to a YouTube channel and you just call it like your name, testimonials. I've seen quite a few good businesses doing this. And it's just this rich library of what people have to say about your business, whether you collect it on Zoom, over the video call and you just record the call, or you literally go to their office, put down a camera and start asking them questions. That's a really good, like either of that works basically. But when you have this like big library of people vouching for you, it's quite compelling. And you don't really, you don't send traffic there, let's say, but you do just have it. And when people search for you or search for what people are saying about you, it comes up, and it just kind of nurtures them. So ultimately, when you're building something out online in a marketing capacity, in a sales capacity, you kind of want touch points all over the place. So if somebody is looking for you here, they find something which supports your narrative. Or looking over here, it does the same thing. Okay, cool. So those are my 5 + 1 bonus ways to use testimonials. If you have any extras, I'd be interested to hear in the comments. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe, and hopefully you got some value out of this video. Cheers.